The night was quiet, the stars hidden behind a heavy blanket of clouds. The small alien village lay asleep, houses built from stone and glowing crystals, giving faint light against the darkness. But inside one of the homes, a young alien child stirred in her sleep, her small body trembling, her breath uneven. Her mother woke to the sound, sitting up quickly, her heart already racing. "Child, what is it?" she whispered, brushing her hand across the little one's forehead. The child's eyes, wide and filled with fear, met hers, and in a broken voice she said, "Mom, something grows on my back." The mother froze, her hands shaking. She thought perhaps the child was dreaming, that it was only a nightmare, but when she pulled the child closer, she felt it. Something warm, something hard, beneath the skin of her back. The mother's blood ran cold. Slowly, she lifted the child's thin tunic, and her breath caught. Two faint shapes pushed against the skin, glowing softly with a light that was not natural. The lines spread like veins of fire, pulsing, alive. The child whimpered, tears slipping down her cheeks. "It hurts, Mom. Make it stop." The mother fell to her knees beside the bed, her voice breaking. "No, not this," she whispered, her hands covering her mouth. She had heard old stories told in hushed voices by the elders, of children marked by strange growths. They were called cursed, and none of them had survived long. Fear wrapped around her heart, squeezing it until it almost stopped. She pulled the child into her arms, rocking her back and forth, trying to quiet her sobs. The child clung to her, whispering again and again, "Something grows on my back, something grows." The mother wanted to scream, but she bit her lip. If anyone heard, if the neighbors discovered this, they would come. They would take the child away, and she would never see her again. The village did not forgive such things. They feared them. A cold wind pushed through the cracks of the stone house, carrying with it a howl that sounded like the voice of death. The mother's eyes darted to the door, imagining shadows outside, listening, waiting. Her hands shook as she lowered the curtain and pulled the child deeper into the room. The glowing shapes on her back pulsed brighter, filling the small space with strange light. The child sobbed until her body grew weak, until her head rested heavy against her mother's chest. The mother kissed her forehead, whispering prayers she barely remembered, begging the stars to spare her little one. But inside her heart, she felt a heavy truth. This was not going to go away. It was only the beginning. She laid the child back down, covering her with blankets. The glow still pressed through the fabric, faint but impossible to hide. The mother sat beside her, clutching her own hands so tightly her nails cut her skin. Tears fell freely, hitting the stone floor like drops of rain. Memories filled her mind. She saw the faces of children who had been taken away in the past. She remembered the silence that followed, the grieving mothers who never spoke again. Now it was her turn, her child's turn. She looked at the little one, fragile and innocent, eyes closed now, drifting in uneasy sleep. The mother felt as though her own soul was being torn apart. She wanted to fight. She wanted to believe there was hope, but all the stories told her there was none. Her hands covered her face as she fell to her knees, the sound of her cries filling the room. Her body shook. With pain, with fear, with helplessness. She had carried this child in her arms since the day she was born. She had promised to protect her, to keep her safe from the cruelty of the world. And now, when the child needed her most, she did not know what to do. The night dragged on. Every sound outside made her flinch. Every flicker of the child's glow made her heart ache deeper. Her eyes burned from tears, her throat raw from silent cries. She could not let go of her child's hand, not for a single moment. Finally, the mother whispered, "You are mine. No curse will take you. No one will take you." Her words shook, but they carried a small flame of strength. She lifted her head, eyes red, but fierce with love. If the world wanted to call her child cursed, then she would fight the world itself. The child stirred, whispering again, even in her dreams, "Something grows on my back." The mother bent down, kissed her, and whispered back, "Then let it grow, my love. Let it grow." The night outside was heavy, the village silent, the stars still hidden, but inside that small home, a mother's love burned brighter than the curse, and though her knees were weak and her soul shaken, she held on because no matter what grew on her child's back, she would not let go. Morning came slowly, the sun hidden behind gray clouds. The village streets were damp from the night rain, the smell of whetstone and smoke filling the air. Children ran across the narrow paths shouting and laughing, while mothers drew water from the wells. It looked peaceful, but inside one home, silence hung heavy like a shadow. The mother had not slept, her eyes red and swollen from tears. She watched her child stir weakly, the glow beneath the blanket still faint but clear enough to burn her heart with worry. She knew she could not hide it forever. Neighbors would notice soon, and whispers would begin. She wrapped her shawl tightly and stepped outside, hoping her trembling hands did not give her away. The neighbors greeted her, but their eyes lingered too long. She realized then that they already suspected something. Perhaps they had heard her, crying in the night. Or maybe the strange glow had slipped through the cracks of the stone walls. The weight of their stares pressed down on her chest, making it hard to breathe. By afternoon, the whispers began. "They say her child is marked," a woman muttered while filling a jar of water. "I saw a light in their house last night," another voice replied, low but sharp. The words spread like fire, burning through every corner of the village. The mother hurried back inside, slamming the door shut, her heart pounding in her ears. Her child sat on the bed, frightened by the sudden noise. "Mom, did they hear me?" she asked softly, her small voice shaking. The mother forced a smile, brushing her daughter's hair. "No, no one will take you, not while I breathe." But the fear in her chest grew, larger with every heartbeat. That evening, the village elders called for a meeting in the square. The mother stood at the back, clutching her shawl so tightly her knuckles turned white. The oldest elder, his voice like dry wood breaking, spoke loudly. "There are signs again. A child born with the curse. We must not allow it to spread among us." Gasps and murmurs rose, the villagers nodding in fear. The mother felt her knees weaken, almost giving way beneath her. They did not name her child directly, but she knew. Everyone knew. Eyes turned toward her, sharp as knives, and she felt stripped bare before them all. A tall man stepped forward, his face grim. We all remember the last one, the cursed boy who lit fire with his hands. He brought nothing but ruin. He burned his own home before they took him away. Others nodded, voices rising with fear. "We cannot risk it again. We must act quickly," another cried. The mother clenched her teeth, holding back tears. She wanted to shout, to fight, but fear of what they might do kept her silent. Her child was innocent, too young to understand why the people she smiled at yesterday now wanted her gone. Her heart screamed, but her lips stayed shut. That night, the mother locked the door and sat awake with her child. The glow on the little girl's back was stronger. Now, pulsing like a heartbeat, the child whispered, "Mom, am I cursed?" The mother pulled her into her arms, her voice breaking. "No, you are my child, you are my blessing." But deep inside, she knew the danger was real. Already, she could hear footsteps outside, neighbors walking slower past their door, pausing too long, whispering too loudly. Her house was no longer safe. The air inside grew heavy, pressing against her chest until she could barely breathe. As the night deepened, thunder rolled across the sky. Rain fell, cold and heavy, tapping against the roof like a drum of war. The mother looked out the small window, lightning flashing across her face. In that flash, she saw her decision as clearly as day. She could not stay. If she remained, the elders would come for her child and she would lose her forever. The pain of leaving her home tore at her heart, but the thought of losing her child was worse. She whispered to herself, "We must go before they come." She packed quickly, wrapping, food and cloth, filling a small bag with water. Her hands shook as she folded a warm blanket for the child. Every sound of thunder made her flinch. Every step outside made her heart stop. But still, she moved, faster and faster, her fear turning into desperate strength. The child watched, confused. "Where are we going, Mom?" The mother knelt, brushing her glowing back with gentle hands. "Somewhere safe. Somewhere no one will hurt you," she whispered, tears sliding down her face. The child nodded, though she did not understand, her trust shining through her fear. By dawn, the mother pulled her hood over her head and lifted the child into her arms. The village still slept, but the rain had washed the ground clean, hiding their footprints. She stepped quietly into the wet streets, her heart racing, her eyes darting to every shadow. The glow beneath her cloak pulsed faintly, but she held the child tighter, praying no one would see. Behind them, the village bell rang once. Sharp and loud, the sound froze her blood. Voices stirred, doors opened, people began to step into the streets, and the mother realized they had already been discovered. The mother ran through the wet forest path, branches whipping at her face, her arms tight around the child. Her heart pounded louder than the storm above, every step sinking into the mud, every breath sharp in her chest. Behind her she could still hear voices from the village, faint but angry, calling her name, calling for the child. But she did not stop. She could not stop. The child pressed her face against her mother's shoulder, whispering through tears, "Mom, they know. They will come." The mother kissed her forehead even as she stumbled forward. "They will not take you. Not while I breathe," she said, though her own fear nearly choked her. Hours passed, the forest growing darker, thicker. The storm slowed, but the dripping leaves and heavy air carried a strange silence. The mother knew these woods well. She remembered a place her own mother had once spoken of, a cave hidden deep within the mountains, a place no villager dared to go, for they feared the old spirits that lived there. She climbed the narrow trail, stones cutting into her feet, her muscles burning. But she kept climbing, one step then another, until the trees opened to reveal a dark mouth in the mountain. The cave yawned before her, cold air spilling out like the breath of some ancient beast. The child shivered, her glowing back lighting the wet rocks with a faint, eerie light. The mother hesitated, fear crawling up her spine. But behind them lay only death, the village, the elders, the chains. Ahead was danger too, but at least it was danger of her choosing. She stepped inside, her footsteps echoing softly. The cave stretched deeper than she expected, the walls glittering with strange minerals. Some stones caught the glow of the child's back and shone like stars. The air was damp, filled with the smell of earth and age. Drips of water fell into small pools, each drop sounding louder in the silence. The child touched her back, whimpering, "Mom, it grows stronger, it hurts." The mother sat her down on a flat rock, brushing her hair gently. She pulled back the fabric covering her back, and her breath caught again. The shapes were larger now, pushing harder against the skin. Lines of glowing light spread across her shoulder blades like roots of a tree. It looked as if something was trying to break free, something alive inside her. The child's small body trembled, and tears ran down her cheeks. The mother pressed her forehead to her daughter's, whispering, "Hold on, my love, I will find a way. I will not let you suffer alone." But her voice cracked, her strength breaking in the silence of the cave. She closed her eyes, her knees giving way, her body shaking with despair. Suddenly a sound echoed from deeper within the cave. Not the drip of water, not the scrape of stone, but a voice, low and strange. The mother froze, pulling her child close, her eyes searching the shadows. "Who is there?" she demanded, though fear made her words weak. From the darkness, a light appeared, not the glow of her daughter, but the soft beam of a lantern. A figure stepped forward, a human tall with a rough coat and tired eyes. He looked as shocked as she was, his lantern trembling in his hand as he saw them. "What are you doing here?" he asked in a cautious voice. The mother pulled her child tighter, her body ready to fight. "This cave is ours now. Leave," she hissed, though she had no weapon, no strength left. The human lifted his free hand slowly, showing he meant no harm. "I didn't know anyone lived here. I was only passing through," he said gently, his eyes falling to the glowing child. The mother followed his gaze and pulled the cloak tighter. But it was too late, the human had seen, his expression changing from surprise to concern. "What happened to her?" he asked softly, almost whispering. The child, too tired to be afraid, reached out a hand toward him, her eyes wet with pain. The mother's heart ached. Why did the child trust so easily? Even now she wanted to shout, to push the man away, but the child's trembling hand stayed her. "She is mine," the mother said firmly, "and no one will take her from me." The human nodded slowly, kneeling to be level with the child. "I do not want to take her," he said, his voice calm, steady. "I have seen signs like this before, not curses, but changes, transformations." The mother's eyes widened, hope flickering for the first time in many nights. "You lie," she whispered, though her voice shook with doubt. The human shook his head, his eyes steady. "No curse looks like this. Her body is not breaking. It is becoming something else." The child whimpered, clutching her mother's arm. "It hurts, Mom," she cried, her small voice echoing in the cavern. The human placed his lantern down and opened a pouch at his side. "I can help ease the pain," he said, pulling out strange herbs wrapped in cloth. The mother hesitated, torn between fear and desperation. Her child's cries pierced her heart, breaking her resolve. She nodded slowly. "If you harm her, I will end you," she whispered, her voice raw. The human only nodded, understanding. He crushed the herbs and let the child breathe their calming scent. Her cries softened, her body relaxing, the glow steady but no longer violent. The mother's eyes filled with tears, watching the child finally rest. She looked at the human, her voice weak but full of emotion. "Why would you help us? Why would you care?" The human looked at her, his face tired but kind. "Because she is not cursed," he said softly. "She is meant to become something greater." The cave fell silent, the storm outside fading. The mother stared at the man, her heart torn between fear, doubt, and a fragile thread of hope. For the first time she wondered if her child's suffering carried not doom but destiny. The cave was quiet, except for the soft sound of water dripping from the ceiling. The mother sat close to her child, brushing the girl's hair as she rested, her glowing back still pulsing faintly under the cloth. Across from them, the human sat with his lantern, his face calm but thoughtful, his eyes watching carefully. Neither spoke for a long time, both filled with doubt and fear. Finally, the mother broke the silence, her voice sharp but trembling. "Why are you here, human? What do you want from us?" The man set down his pack and looked at her with steady eyes. "I was traveling, searching for old ruins in these mountains. I didn't know anyone else would be here." The mother narrowed her eyes, her arms tightening protectively around her child. "Then leave. We need no one. We need nothing from you." Her words were harsh, but her shaking voice betrayed her. The human did not argue, but instead spoke gently. "I saw the child's pain, I saw her light, and I know it is not a curse." The mother flinched, pulling her daughter closer. "You speak lies. You don't understand our people. Our village calls her cursed, and they will come to take her." The human leaned forward, his voice low and certain. "Your village is wrong. I have studied many worlds, many species. I have seen signs like these before. Your daughter is changing, not dying." The mother's eyes filled with tears, torn between hope and fear. She wanted to believe, but the weight of the elder's words pressed hard on her. Her child stirred, opening her eyes, looking weak but awake. "Mom, who is he?" she whispered softly. The mother hesitated, then answered, "He is a stranger, someone who should not be here." The child blinked, her small hand reaching toward the man. "He helped me. He made the pain less," she said, her voice trembling, but honest. The mother's heart broke. Why did her little one trust so quickly? While she herself felt only fear, the human knelt closer, his lantern light falling across the child's glowing back. "I do not wish to harm you," he said softly. "But if you want me gone, I will go. Still, before I leave, I must tell you, this your daughter may be the beginning of something greater for your people, something they fear because they do not understand." The mother's breath caught, her eyes searching his face for lies. But there was no trick in his voice, only quiet truth. She turned away, covering her face with her hands, her shoulders shaking. Her child watched her, whispering, "Mom, don't cry." The human rose slowly, picking up his lantern. He stood at the mouth of the cave, staring out at the forest beyond. "I will not force myself upon you. The choice is yours. I can stay and help, or I can leave and let you face this alone." His words echoed in the cavern, heavy with meaning. The mother felt torn in two, her heart screaming to keep everyone away, yet her soul whispering that she could not do this alone. She remembered the village, the elders' cold eyes, the way the people whispered curses. She remembered the glowing shapes on her child's back, stronger each night, and the helplessness that crushed her when the girl cried. She thought of her own prayers unanswered, of her knees pressed to the stone floor as she begged for mercy. And here a stranger offered help. Her pride wanted to reject him. Her fear wanted to push him out. But her love for her child, the only love that mattered, begged her to accept. Her hands lowered, her eyes red but burning with determination. She spoke at last, her voice unsteady but firm. "If you stay, if you help her, then know this. You are bound to us if she suffers because of you. If she is harmed, I will take your life with my own hands." The human bowed his head slightly, his voice calm. "Then I accept. I will help her, not because I owe you, but because she deserves to live." The child smiled faintly, her small hand gripping her mother's arm. "Mom, please let him stay," she whispered. The mother closed her eyes, tears sliding down her cheeks, and she nodded. Her child's trust had broken through her fear. The human knelt again, examining the glowing shapes carefully. "They will soon break through," he said softly. "Her body is trying to release something. It will be painful, but she will survive it." The mother bit her lip, clutching her daughter's hand tightly. "Then I will stay by her side, no matter the pain," she whispered. The cave seemed to grow warmer with their words, the storm outside fading to a soft drizzle. The child leaned against her mother, comforted not by the herbs, not by the man, but by the strength of their presence. Together, the human sat across from them, his eyes thoughtful, as if weighing something heavy inside himself. He had chosen to stay, chosen to risk himself for strangers, for an alien child and her desperate mother. And deep inside, the mother felt something shift. For the first time, she did not feel entirely alone. The fear of the village was still real, the danger still near. But in this cave, with her child's hand in hers and the stranger's quiet promise, she felt a spark of hope, fragile but alive. The night stretched long, the cave filled with the sound of breathing and dripping water. The child slept at last, her glow soft and steady. The mother leaned against the stone wall, her eyes closing in exhaustion, and the human kept watch at the entrance, the lantern light casting his shadow like a guardian. The choice had been made, and there was no turning back. The cave was quiet. The next morning the storm had passed, leaving only the dripping of water echoing in the dark. The mother sat with her child resting in her lap. The glow on the little one's back softer now, but still alive, still strange. The human kept a fire burning at the edge of the cavern, his eyes watching both mother and child, though his mind seemed far away. He had stayed awake the whole night, keeping guard as if he carried a duty heavier than his own life. The mother's voice broke the silence, sharp but tired. "You said you had seen this before. Tell me what you know. Tell me the truth." Her eyes were narrowed, filled with suspicion, and a fragile hope she could not admit aloud. The human leaned forward, his face serious, his hands resting over the flame. "Long ago, on another world," he began slowly, "I studied a people who feared their own children the way your village does. When a child was born with markings or strange powers, they called it a curse. They cast them out." The mother stiffened, her hand tightening around her daughter. The human's voice softened. But they were not cursed. They were evolving. Their bodies were changing, preparing them for something greater. Their children were the bridge to survival, not the end of it. The mother's lips trembled, her eyes filling with tears. You say this as if it is a blessing, but all I have seen is pain. My child cries every night. She burns with fever. Her back glows like fire. The human shook his head. The pain is real, yes, but it is the pain of growth, not death. Her body is trying to reveal something hidden within her. It is not destroying her, it is remaking her. The child stirred weakly, lifting her head, her small voice breaking through the silence. "Mom, am I cursed?" she asked, her glowing eyes wet with tears. The mother bent down, kissing her forehead, her voice shaking. "No, you are not cursed. You are mine. You are my blessing." The human's gaze softened, but his words carried weight. "Your elders fear what they do not understand. They call it a curse because it does not fit their stories. But this is not a curse. It is destiny." The mother shook her head, torn between fear and belief. Her heart wanted to accept his words, but the memory of the elders' judgment still burned inside her. She whispered, "If this is true, then why were the others taken? Why did none return?" The human's face darkened, his eyes heavy with sorrow. "Because fear kills faster than any sickness. Your people destroy what they do not control. They never gave the children the chance to live long enough to become what they were meant to be." The mother's body shook, the truth cutting through her like a blade. Her people had murdered their own future, blinded by fear. And now her daughter, her precious child, was walking the same path. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she clutched her daughter tighter, whispering, "No, never, they will not take you, they will not destroy you." The child leaned into her arms, whispering back, "Mom, I dreamed I had wings, I dreamed I could fly away from them." The mother froze. Her breath caught in her throat. Wings. The very thought struck her with both wonder and terror. The human leaned closer, his voice steady. "Dreams come from within. She is not dreaming of what is false. She is dreaming of what is becoming true. Soon her body will open, and what sleeps beneath her skin will awaken." The mother stared at him, her lips parting, her heart racing. "Wings," she whispered, as if the word itself was forbidden. The child's glow pulsed brighter as if answering. The mother placed her forehead against her daughter's, her tears falling freely. "You are not cursed," she whispered again, stronger this time. "You are chosen. You are mine." Her words echoed through the cave, like a vow, like a shield against the world. The human watched silently, letting the weight of truth settle between them. He knew the path ahead would not be easy. The village would not stop searching. The elders would not forgive. But he also knew that in this moment the mother's heart had shifted. She no longer saw her child as doomed but as destined, and that small spark of belief could change everything. The fire burned low. Shadows danced across the stone walls. The child finally closed her eyes again, her breathing soft and steady, her glow calm. The mother brushed her cheek gently, her heart aching but full of fierce love. She lifted her eyes to the human, her voice low but firm. "If what you say is true, then we must protect her until the change is complete. Even if the whole village comes, we will not give her to them." The human nodded slowly, his eyes full of resolve. "I will stand with you, not as your enemy, but as your ally. Your daughter deserves to live, and I will help her live." The mother stared at him for a long moment, her fear not gone but no longer alone. For the first time, she felt that her child might truly have a future, not one stolen by fear, not one ended by fire or chains, but one filled with light, with wings, with freedom. As the cave held their silence, the truth hung heavy in the air. Her child was not cursed, she was chosen, and the world outside would soon learn a truth they could not deny. The cave had given them shelter for many days. The mother kept her child close, tending to her as the glowing shapes on her back grew sharper. The human gathered herbs, lit fires, and brought food from the forest, though he never strayed far. Every night the mother prayed the village had forgotten them, but deep down she knew it was only a matter of time. One morning the sound of distant horns shattered the silence. The mother froze, clutching her child against her chest. The human returned from outside, his face pale, his voice urgent. They are here. Your people are searching the mountains. The mother's heart pounded. They will not stop until they find her, she whispered, her arms trembling as she held her child. The girl stirred, half asleep, her back glowing even brighter than before. Mom, the wings. They hurt. They want to come out, she said softly, tears sliding down her face. The human knelt beside her, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. You must be strong, little one. The pain means the change is close. Do not be afraid. The mother looked at him, her eyes wide. They will come. They will kill her if they see this. The human met, her gaze, firm and unshaken. Then we stand together. No one touches her unless they go through us. His voice carried a strength that surprised her, as if he had already chosen his side. The mother felt her chest tighten, torn between fear of the villagers and the fragile hope burning inside. By noon, shadows moved at the cave's mouth, torches flickered in the daylight, and voices echoed against the stone walls. They are inside, one called. The cursed child is here. The mother pressed her child behind her, rising to her feet, her body shaking but ready. The first villager stepped in, spear in hand, his face twisted with fear. Behind him came elders wrapped in heavy robes, their eyes cold, their voices sharp. Give us the child, one demanded. Her curse will bring ruin upon us all. Hand her over and we may let you live. The mother's voice broke with fury. She is not cursed. She is my child, and I will never give her to you, the villagers murmured, their fear turning to anger. She glows like fire. She is dangerous. She must be destroyed, someone shouted. The mother's knees trembled, but she spread her arms wide, shielding her daughter. Her voice rose like thunder. You will not take her. Not while I stand. The human stepped forward, his lantern casting light against the dark stone. You call her cursed because you are blind, he said loudly, his words cutting through the noise. She is not a curse. She is the next step for your people, a gift you are too afraid to see. Villagers gasped at his boldness, some whispering, others shouting in rage. The eldest elder raised his staff, his voice echoing. You are no voice among us, human. You speak lies. This child will bring only death. The human's eyes burned with defiance. No. Your fear will bring death, not her. Your hatred kills what was meant to save you. The mother clutched her child tighter as the girl cried out. Her back glowed so brightly it lit the entire cave, the air trembling with heat. The villagers stumbled back, shielding their eyes, some dropping their torches in fear. And then it happened. The child screamed and the skin on her back split open. From her small shoulders burst wings of pure light, glowing brighter than fire, spreading wider than any bird. The cave shook with power, the glow dancing across the walls like living fire. The villagers fell to their knees, some crying out in terror, others in awe. Even the elders' voices faltered, their staffs lowering as they stared. The mother fell to her knees too, but not in fear. Tears poured down her cheeks as she whispered, My love, my miracle, you are free. The child sobbed, but her sobs were no longer from pain. They were from release, from becoming what she was meant to be. Her wings beat once, stirring the air, sending dust and sparks across the cavern. The human stood tall, his voice strong. Look at her. Look with your own eyes. Does this look like death? Does this look like ruin? She is no curse. She is your future. The villagers trembled, their fear cracking under the weight of what they saw. Some bowed their heads, unable to meet the child's shining gaze. The eldest elder tried to speak, but his voice shook. This cannot be. The mother rose, holding her daughter's hand, her voice louder than it had ever been. It is, and you will not touch her again. She is not your fear. She is not your curse. She is my child, and she will live. The girl stood tall, her glowing wings spreading wider. The light filled the cave until it spilled into the forest beyond. The villagers backed away, blinded, powerless to fight against something so pure. The mother held her child close, whispering through tears. They called you cursed, but they will see the truth. You are chosen. The human placed a hand on the mother's shoulder. Steady and firm. They will not forget this day. Their fear has met its end, and your daughter has shown them what they could not see. The cave grew silent again, the villagers too shaken to move, and the child looked up at her mother, whispering softly, "Mom, I am not afraid anymore." The mother kissed her, her heart breaking and healing all at once. "No, my love, you are not afraid, because you were never cursed. You were always a miracle." The cave glowed with light brighter than any torch. The child's wings stretched wide, glowing like living crystal. Shimmering with colors that shifted between silver and gold, the villagers knelt in silence, some shielding their eyes, others staring with trembling awe. No one dared move, no one dared speak, for what they saw broke every tale they had believed. The mother stood with her child at her side, her tears streaming, her hands shaking. But for the first time, her shaking did not come from fear. It came from wonder, from pride. She held her daughter's hand, feeling its warmth, feeling its strength. "You are not cursed," she whispered again, her voice firm. "You are chosen, you are mine." The child's eyes, glowing softly like twin stars, turned to her mother. "Mom, I can feel it. The wings. They are not heavy. They are strong. I think I can fly." The mother's heart tightened, fear returning for a moment. "Fly," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You are still so small." The human stepped forward, his shadow long in the light, his voice calm. "Do not fear. Her strength, her wings were born for the sky. Let her rise." The mother looked at him, torn between holding on and letting go, but her daughter's hand slipped from hers gently, not in defiance, but in love. The villagers gasped as the child stepped forward. Her wings moved slowly at first, stirring the air, sending dust and sparks swirling around her feet. The glow grew brighter, the sound of energy humming through the cavern, and then with a cry that echoed like music, her wings beat fully, lifting her from the ground. The mother's breath caught in her throat, her hands reaching out. But she stopped herself, her tears flowing freely as she whispered, "Go, my love. Show them who you are." The child rose, higher, her wings carrying her toward the mouth of the cave. The villagers stumbled back as the glow spilled out into the forest. Birds took flight, startled by the sudden blaze of light. The clouds above parted, as if even the sky wished to witness the moment. And the child soared into the open air, her wings spread wide, her light reflecting off the wet leaves and stone. The mother stepped out of the cave, her eyes never leaving, the figure rising above the trees. Her heart ached with pride so fierce it burned away the years of fear. The villagers followed, their faces pale, their voices hushed. They had come to destroy a curse, but what they saw was a miracle flying above them. The eldest elder fell to his knees, his staff slipping from his hand. "She was never cursed," he whispered, his voice breaking. "She was chosen," another villager murmured, awe heavy in his words. One by one, the voices rose, confusion turning to reverence. The mother turned to them, her eyes blazing, her voice like fire. "You hunted her, you called her cursed, you tried to take her from me, but look now. Look at what you would have destroyed." The villagers lowered their heads, their shame plain on their faces. The mother's tears fell, but her voice carried strength. "She is mine, but she is also yours. She is the future you were too blind to see." Above them, the child circled. In the air, her laughter echoing across the sky, her wings glittered with light, each beat scattering drops of shining energy like falling stars. The human stood beside the mother, his face calm, but his eyes shining with quiet pride. "You see," he said softly, "her wings are not for hiding. They are for leading. She will change them all." The mother looked at him, her chest rising with deep breaths. Her fear was not gone, but it no longer ruled her. Instead, love filled every part of her being, fierce and endless, she whispered. "She is free and nothing can chain her now." The child flew higher, reaching beyond the treetops. Her light touching the edges of the clouds, she looked down, her eyes meeting her mother's, and even from the sky the mother could see her smile, small and bright, full of hope. The mother lifted her hand, her voice breaking with love. "Fly, my miracle, fly. The sky was always yours. The villagers watched. Their fear turned to silence. Their silence turned to awe. They bowed their heads, some in shame, some in prayer. The mother stood tall among them, no longer broken, no longer begging. She was the mother of the child with wings, the mother of hope. The child's glow began to fade slightly as she drifted lower. She landed gently before her mother, her wings folding close but still shimmering softly. "Mom," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "I am not afraid anymore." The mother fell to her knees, gathering her into her arms, whispering, through tears, "No, my love, you never needed to be afraid because you were never alone." The human stepped forward, placing a steady hand on both their shoulders. "The world will never see you the same again," he said, his voice calm. "But let them come. Let them see. The truth cannot be hidden now." The mother nodded, pressing her forehead to her daughter's. The truth had been revealed, and no elder, no fear, no curse could take it back. The sun broke through the clouds, shining on the mountain. The villagers looked up, their hearts heavy but changed. The mother looked at her child, her tears finally drying, her voice strong and clear. "You are not a curse. You are my miracle, and the world will know it." And for the first time, the mother felt not only fear and pain. She felt pride. She felt strength. She felt hope, because her child had flown into the sky, and she knew now nothing would ever bring her down again.